Hello and welcome to the screencast. It's Maths You Should Know, Unit 3 of our algebra series, and today we're talking about function tables. I drew an example of the function table right on the screen you're looking at currently. We're on the vocabulary side, and I'm going to use the vocabulary to describe bits and pieces of this table. First of all, the function of this table is that middle column. So you know what I'm talking about right here. The function of this table is x plus 3, and that's also our function rule. The independent variable is over on this side here. This is called our independent variable. Also, it's the x side of our function table because eventually we're going to be taking numbers and we're going to be making coordinate pairs and we're going to be graphing these coordinate pairs on graphs. So it's important that you know that that side, the independent side, that's the x side, and over here is y. And of course, I know x is the horizontal and y is the vertical of any of our coordinate planes we've been working with. That's a dependent variable. Now, let's take a look at what this would look like. If I was working with this problem, output is 7 more than the input. Our function rule that we could come up with is x plus 7, x being our variable, our constant being 7. What would our table look like? Well, it would look like that. It would say my input, or the x side, also known as the independent variable, we're going to put in 10, 12, and 14. And then for our output side, well, it's 7 added to each one. So 10 plus 7 is 17, 12 plus 7 is 19, and 14 plus 7 is 21. You got it. This time it says is 5 times the input. And when I think of the word times, I think of multiplication. So what would my function rule look like? It would look like, well, 5 times x. And we remember from our last unit that in algebra, that there says 5 times x. Let's take a look at what our table would look like. There's our function table. The inputs are going to be 8, 10, and 12. We know that 5 times 8 is 40, so that's our output for the first line. 5 times 10 is 50, and 5 times 12 is 60. I have one more example I want to share with you before we end our screencast today. It's what happens if I have the output and I have to find the inputs. Okay, well, I see my function rule is 3 times x. I could say 3 times x, and hopefully it starts looking familiar. 3 times x. And in our first class or second class today, someone mentioned this looks just like what we were doing when we solved equations. All right, so we got 3 times x equals 6. If I want to isolate the variable, I'm going to divide this side by 3. Bear with me, I'm writing using my keypad. Not easy. And if I do it on that side, I'm going to do it on this side too. This is so familiar. 6 divided by 3. These two cancel each other out, leaving me with x on this side. Variable all by itself, I isolated it. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So if I put 2 in here, let's see if it makes sense. 2, 3 times 2, great parentheses. Fantastic 2. Does equal 6. And that's how you go from having an output to the input. Ladies and gentlemen, please get your work done at home tonight. This is function tables, and that is the maths you should know.